So it's your good girlfriend, Chanel Sara'Nita, and I thank you for tuning back into the Queen's Corner. So today I have my good girlfriend, Nazra Peterson, and she is a life coach, and she is also the founder of Heart and Mind Fitness Training. Yes. Yes. So first of all, I want to talk about that. So tell us a little bit more about Heart and Mind.
So Heart Mind Fitness Training is really about developing mental and emotional fitness. So everything I do is centered around rewiring the brain, understanding why we do the things that we do, and also under the umbrella is also the physical body. So we do body work, energy healing, sound baths. So anything that integrates holistic wellness.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so it's a full scope of where you can go to a life coach who has an understanding of the energy body, right?
Right.
So you're not just all in your head about it. And we're also Heart Mind Fitness Training is inspired. The name itself is inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's a huge mentor of mine that I followed for years. He's an incredible neuroscientist, and he talks about developing brain and heart coherence.
Okay.
So brain and heart coherence is basically, when we say an affirmation, for example, the reason why they're not effective many times is because there's no heart connection when we're saying something. So it's about getting the brain and the heart to communicate in a way that is in alignment.
In alignment. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So does it have anything, what is it, psychotherapy or something like that? Is it anything like that? Or
I mean, there's definitely some psychology involved, like some neuroscience involved of just understanding the mind-body connection, which a lot of people don't think of them as one. They are one. And so it's really about educating people on that and helping them to just get themselves into alignment, get their heart in alignment with what they really ultimately need to believe about themselves, not just what they're currently believing about themselves.
Okay. And how long have you been in this field?
So I've been working as a life coach for about 3 years, but I've been studying this stuff for like 20 years. So since I was a kid, basically.
Yeah.
I've always been very fascinated by why people do the things that they do.
Yeah.
I think that's something in my home that wasn't really questioned. It was kind of this thing of where we just do things because we've always done it.
Yeah.
That's just who I am. That's just my personality.
Just
or I get that from my uncle. I get that from my dad. I get, and I kind of go deeper into that and why. If we don't understand the why behind why we do something, we're more inclined to repeat it. So it's not just about changing the behavior, but understanding why the behavior exists to begin with.
Wow. So it's basically you use your own life to kind of get an idea of what your passion, I guess this is a passion for you, would be, and you kind of just made it something that you love.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I think it's so important to answer your.
Sorry guys, we're outside, so forgive us. We're outside, but it's a beautiful day. I did not want to be
There's like 5 of them.
The inside. It must be like a what is it, Air Force situation happening. But it's all good. It's all good. You can hear me, I can hear you.
Nature. So yeah, I just think it's really important that we all answer our calling, right? We all have a calling. We all made some energetic agreement of what we were going to do, and we came into this life. I'm a big believer in reincarnation, so I definitely believe there. And I know you have your own stories of why you believe that too, because it's one of those things where we come here to learn different things. We know there are certain distractions that we're going to overcome, but those distractions are always meant to teach us something. Every person, every place, every experience is meant to teach us something. And it's a matter of whether or not we learn. And when we learn, we integrate, right? We integrate that into our lifestyle, changing our lifestyle, changing our experiences, changing our points of attraction, which I know we're going to talk about later. But yeah, just I knew that I needed to do something with this wealth of knowledge that I've had over the course of my life, because I also knew that I didn't go through my experiences just for me.
Right. I feel like everything that we do is always for somebody else. Every experience in our life, we're always going to go through things in our journey that's going to be for us to give back to somebody. And I had to come to that realization myself, that all of the struggle, everything that I deal with, anything that I'm going through, it's not just for me.
Right.
And sometimes I think that as people, we can be selfish with that. with this thought that,
Absolutely. Yeah.
why am I dealing with this? Why am I going through this? I mean, and it's human. We're beings.
Right.
Experiencing a human, we're experiencing a human experience on this planet, right?
Right.
And so I have to remind myself all the time that I am human, and yeah, I go through this. Why me? Why me? Why me? And then I come back down to earth.
Yeah, yeah.
I align myself with my physical and my spiritual space being, and then, oh, well, this is not for me. And then I always, when I realize it's not for me, it's always when I have to be a vessel for God, for the universe, I have to help somebody else.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's why I went through that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But today we are discussing, we're talking about relationships. So we've had a few conversations about relationships, and we felt like this was the first topic that we wanted to touch on because honestly, it's a lot going on in the relationship realm right now for a lot of people, including myself. I literally have family and friends that are going through, honestly, some of the same things that I'm going through right now. And it's crazy because it's a lesson in all of this.
All of it.
And we're not quite catching on as much as we need to. I know for me, it's taken me to really beat myself down and build myself back up. Just to have an understanding of like, what is it that you want though? Do you really want a relationship? Do you really want a relationship? Do you just want someone around? What kind of relationship do you want?
What's your intention?
What is your intention?
Yeah.
What are you really trying to get out of all of this, right? So, we're talking about 7 relationship agreements. And Nazra is going to take us through this and explain what this is and what this looks like.
All right. Yeah.
So, our first topic is our relationship to our physical body and touch.
Okay.
So explain to me what that means.
So before I do, I'm going to back up just a little bit. So I was inspired by a post that you did.
Right.
By a post that went viral, and it really kind of sparked a lot of conversation. So that's why I felt like you are really the person that I feel like I wanted to connect with first to have this conversation.
Let's go.
So I'm writing a book called The 7 Relationship Agreements: How to Stop Just Having Sex and Start Making Love. Okay. Because we don't really know how to do that. It's not popular.
Yeah.
Right. It's what's very popular right now is hookup culture.
And it's a difference. Everybody does not know it's a difference between having sex and making love. Yes. Excuse my language, and fucking.
Yes.
It's a difference between all 3. So I'm happy that we're going to have this conversation.
Yeah, me too. So what I really wanted to focus on is, I feel like the typical relationship advice model is to, teach someone how to date, teach someone how to go out on a date, how to be, really light with their conversation, how to be flirty, how to engage in touch almost like right away, just different things like that. And I feel that, while there's some relevance here and there, I think it's more on a superficial level.
Yes.
And so what I wanted to go into with this book is really talking about different relationships to experiences. Right? Yes. Experiences that we all have. And so that's why I started with the first one, is our relationship to our physical body, because these relationships really set a precedent for what we feel is going to be acceptable in life. Yes. And sometimes we measure that through what our peers are doing, what we've seen our family do. Yes. Not realizing that just because some behavior is very common doesn't mean that it's healthy. Yes. And we're so afraid of judgment, right? And like I was talking to you on the phone the other day when we were first talking about having this conversation. A lot of what we identify as judgment is just inconvenient accountability. It's just something that's really forcing us out of our comfort zone, and because we have a certain emotional reaction, then we shame the feedback. Right? And we open ourselves up to changing our thinking, changing how we show up in the world, how we show up in our own lives. So I started with the physical body because everybody has a different relationship to their physical body, right?
That is true.
Right. So
Yeah.
some people, you know, and it's not just about how we look, but how we look to ourselves.
Yeah.
And also our experience of how we react when people interpret us a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I was always a tall, skinny, awkward girl, like in school. And so I had a lot of issues around my physical body once I went into school. So because at home, I was just so wonderful and I was perfect. I was loved by my family. So no one ever really pointed no one really pointed anything out to me in a way that was negative.
Yeah.
Right. So once I went into school, that was when I started to get this feedback that I wasn't normal.
Wow.
Right. That I looked anorexic, or that I looked unhealthy somehow, that I was too tall. I wasn't just tall, but I was too tall.
Yeah.
So all these different things started to really mess with my confidence and just a feeling of inadequacy.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to actually spend years afterwards really healing that. And then once I started to get into modeling when I was younger, I really started to have these issues in my head of where I thought, well, I'm not pretty enough because I've been getting all this feedback for so many years that I'm actually this really tall, flat-chested, brace-faced weirdo.
Wow,
right?
That's something.
Yeah, so it was a lot to unpack for me. And for me, the game changer was really interesting. So I went off to school. I went to college for 2 years, and then I started getting attention from boys, like really getting attention from boys. But that really didn't tell me a whole lot. It was a little weird too, because, college boys are very much like high school boys. A lot of them, right?
They are.
They're just like
immature,
walking, raging hormones.
Right, everywhere.
Anything in a dress, they want to come after it. And so what it taught me was that, my body is just something that's sexual.
Yes.
That's it.
Wow, yes.
Right? So I went from being unattractive to being, kind of attractive, to now, okay, this is just meant for sex. This is all this means.
Wow. I feel that though.
Right?
I think a lot of women go through that right there. I know for me, as I was growing up, I had braces and glasses too. And although there were guys boys that were attracted to me in my neighborhood, I still felt like I didn't feel like I was pretty. I didn't really feel like I was that pretty. And my family, everybody around me would tell me, you're so pretty, girl. Wait till you get older. Same thing I told my daughter, because she's going through her own situation with her body right now. And once I became a teenager and I saw my body was like shaping out, and I didn't see it actually. Boys saw it.
Yes.
I saw what was happening. I grew up around a bunch of guys in my neighborhood. And my cousins, we all grew up in the same neighborhood, and I was the only girl. So when I saw that they had to pull their friends off of me, I was like,
interesting. That's what I got going on.
Now I see what's going on. It's all of this is happening right here.
Right.
And I started to, you feel yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But I still, I was coming into a place where, I'm being sexualized, but not exactly identifying it as I'm being sexualized.
Yes. Right.
And that this is what this is for. It's like I knew, but I didn't know.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. I think every woman has their own iteration of this story, right?
Yeah.
Of just kind of this coming of age and realizing, things are changing a little bit, and I was a very late bloomer. So for me, by the time I even noticed it, I was kind of still a little in the dark.
I'm listening.
I was still a little in the dark. So the game changer for me was having a different level of respect for my body. Which was, I moved to Chicago. I was there for about a year and a half when I was still modeling. But then I worked part-time at different art schools.
Oh, okay.
And I did nude art modeling.
Wow. Wow. How was that?
That was a complete game changer.
I love that. I would do that.
Complete and total game changer. And I honestly
feel like
that's such an important experience to have.
Yes.
And especially for me, right? Because again, I grew up for years, literally, I think from about probably more so around, I guess, 6th grade, all until I graduated high school. I was mocked and made fun of, and it was a horrible experience.
Wow.
It was absolutely horrible.
That sucks.
And so now, you know, I was like 20 years old, and I'm just, you know, posing nude, like for a class of people. But what was so interesting is that I realized, oh, this isn't just for sex.
It's a piece
My
of
naked
art.
body is not only meant for sex.
Yes.
It is multidimensional, and it's beautiful, and yes, it's sensual, but there's so much more to it. I realized that me and my nude natural state was actually less sexualized than when I was on a college campus being ostracized by, you know, horny teenage guys.
Yeah.
And I really, it did something for my confidence that I didn't even know was possible, which was, it really got, for one, I became very comfortable in my own skin. Because when you're not hiding behind, I mean, even when we're wearing clothes, and I mean, I can wear things a little provocative. I like to show off my stomach or my midriff, whatever. You know, I wear, you know, skirts and dresses and things that show off my legs. But I also do it for me. And I know a lot of people say they don't, but I think at the end of the day, it's important to do these things for yourself, because you want to walk past your reflection and go,
oh my God, girl.
I am feeling myself today. And it's a good thing, and it's a healthy thing.
Yes.
But it's not about, it's about realizing that I am a multidimensional human being, and I serve a purpose other than to just be a sexual being, but just be a human being that is confident in the beauty vessel that I'm in.
Yes.
In this life, and at least for this time in my life, right? Because the vessel changes and
yes,
you know.
yes.
So
I feel that part as well. I know a lot of people. I've heard a lot of men, especially on social media. So much is said on social media about who we are. Who we are as women, right? And I've heard that we dress for men. I've heard that so many times. We do not dress for men. I know me. I dress for me. And as a matter of fact, I recently put up a video of myself. I had just dyed my hair, and she was back to all platinum, white blonde, and I was like, yes. I was so caught up in myself. Yes. And I was like, girl, yes. I don't need anybody to tell me how good I look.
Right.
I don't need anybody to tell me how amazing I am, how intelligent I am. I don't need that anymore, because I can look at me and say, girl, I want to love on you today.
Yes.
You look good enough to be loved on.
Right.
I don't need anybody else to tell me that anymore. And when I hear it, thank you. I love you for that.
Yeah,
I love how you treat me. Thank you.
Right.
But I know that, goddamn it, if you leave, I look good.
Exactly.
I look good, feel good, I am good.
I love that. And I think that's because there are women who do dress for men.
That's true. And you can tell who does it and who does not.
Yes.
You can.
And you can tell in how they pose. I mean, I've had, you know, friends for, you know, times when we would walk down the street, and they were all looking at who was looking at them.
Yeah.
And they were looking at me and oh gosh, look, they're looking at you. They're looking at you. And I said, okay, but I'm walking.
Yeah.
I don't it's
care.
Fine. It's fine. And I think the more we can do that for ourselves, and even, you know, you've had friends like this, right? Who are you dressing up for today?
Oh, I had a man ask me that recently.
What?
Who are you dressing up for today?
What are you talking about?
I say you, boo, but I was lying.
Right.
I was lying. Never.
Oh, you, of course, obviously.
Not never.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm not. Like, when I shop for myself, the last thing on my mind is how somebody else is going to think that I look. Because I think as women or as people, we've spent so much time of our life caring about what other people have to say, or how we look to them. So now it's time for you to look in the mirror and see how you look to you. How do you feel about you?
Right. Yeah.
That's what's important. So I understand this whole, you know, our relationship to our physical body.
Yeah.
And to our touch, though.
Touch. So touch is very interesting. So one of my other careers is as a body worker.
Yes.
So I've been doing massage therapy for about 3 years as well.
Okay.
And that is an interesting dynamic in itself. And the thing is, all of these different types of relationships, they all bleed into the other, right? They're all linked and intertwined, and they all cross over. They're not completely separate. But with touch, I think it's just like so important. Just when you start to get into like whether it's a massage, right? And I talk about massage because that's one of my professions, right? And what I've noticed is that there are certain people who don't like being touched. I've had, say like a husband order a massage for their wife, or a wife order a massage for their husband. They're like, no, I don't like people touching me.
Yeah.
There's something very interesting in that.
It is.
To me.
What is that?
I believe it's one of two things. One, either people are so neglected and deprived of touch that they don't know how to receive it.
Yeah.
Or they have a constant idea of touch in their mind that it's just sexual.
Yeah.
And so to them, it almost feels like a cheating or like a betrayal.
Yeah.
And it's an unhealthy thing when your only association to touch is sexual.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be that way. I grew up in a house where we hugged and kissed, and like we even like kissed on the mouth too. It's just like, like I love you.
Yeah, me too.
And that was, and even with girlfriends too. It's like sometimes we have a weird thing with that. There are other countries where friends walk around, arm in arm and holding hands.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it's nothing that's sexualized in any way. It's like that's their sister, or they're so close.
Yeah.
And it's not anything romantic based. It's just healthy.
Right.
If I say you're saying an emotional story and I put my hand on your knee, or I put my hand on your shoulder, but some people,
it actually makes me feel comfort.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
And other people don't have that relationship to it. But again, we always want to question the why, right? Because that's important. It's telling about ourselves something that we need to know things about ourselves.
Yeah.
Why would you want to go through your whole life not knowing why? If I touch your shoulder because I see your eyes like welling up with tears, like why would you not know how to receive that?
And could that be some trauma as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's different types of trauma, right? There's like the trauma of neglect. Neglect is its own form of trauma.
Yeah.
Where you had parents who were so inaffectionate, who were so cold, who were so removed, that they didn't know how to engage in healthy physical touch.
Yes.
They didn't know how to do that. And then there's also where someone manipulated that touch.
Yes.
Right? And used it to hurt someone.
Yeah.
So I think that, looking at where that relationship to touch comes from is so important. It's so important. And even being able to go and get a massage, you should be able to engage in that, especially if you're in pain. I've known people, oh, I'm in pain. I'm like, well, why don't you go and get a massage? Oh, no, I don't like people touching me. So you'd rather sit in pain. This is interesting, right? You'd rather sit in pain than to be touched.
Right.
There's something to that.
Right.
There's something to that. And so exploring that is very important. And it also correlates with how it is that we engage in relationships with other people.
It is. And some people, like you said, they don't like to be touched. I know people that like touch. Well, every language I think is my love language. I'm starting to pick up on that. But I know that touch is one of my major love languages. And I like men who that's their love language, like to be touched, because I'm a hugger. I am a toucher. I do draw those boundaries for people.
Sure. For
sure, But I knew a man that did not like to be touched. It just wasn't his, and I was just like, wow.
Right.
Why not?
Yeah.
What do you
What happened to you? Yeah.
Who hurt you?
Right.
For real.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
So now we have this thing here, our relationship to the self. Ego self and true self. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know why that just took me out.
Right?
Like just saying it out loud just took me out.
Yeah.
Our relationship to ourselves. I think that I have, man, girl, we might need therapy. I think that I have a great relationship with myself. But my relationship with myself is definitely like a love-hate. I'm not gonna say hate. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna remove hate because someone very special to me recently told me to remove hate from my vocabulary.
Okay.
So I'll say it is a love for sure. It's like a marriage. Some days I love you, and some days I'm disconnected from you.
Okay.
Some days I don't want to be bothered with you or your thoughts.
There's that. Yeah.
When I say I don't want to be bothered with parts of me, it's a real thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I have learned how to, number one, separate my physical being with my goddess deep down inside of me, my mind. I have learned how to separate them. And when I say that, like my goddess is good to me.
Yeah, yeah.
She is good to me. She talks me up. She encourages me. She holds me when I need to be held. She shows me what life is, like the beauty of all of this. Like I'm seeing things through the eyes of my goddess right now, right? And then there are days when I'm seeing things in just the physical space. You hurt me. You did this. You did that. Why, Chanel? I hate this that you're doing to yourself. I hate you. Who do you think you are? Who, like, when it's like that part of us or the physical space is just like, I don't know if that makes sense, but for me it does. Is happy one day, maybe not the next day.
Yeah.
Right? And then your mind plays tricks on you.
Oh, yes.
Your mind will have you like in your thoughts. I'm an overthinker.
Oh, same.
I'm an overthinker. So I could be thinking like things like, oh, this has a lot to do with my abandonment issues. If you don't answer the phone,
right.
It doesn't matter if it's a friend or family member, boyfriend, whatever. You don't love me. If I didn't hear back from you, you feel a certain way.
All right.
It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, and it'll be my mind playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
Instead of just thinking like, oh, this person has this going on or whatever. Or if I don't feel acknowledged about a certain thing, it makes you feel like you're not validated. And that's my mind telling me no. Or, I mean, anything. Your mind could tell you how much somebody really loves you. Or your mind can tell you, you know, that you got this. Right. It's all good. And then the next day, girl.
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah.
So
legit.
When I say the relationship that I have with myself, it can be an amazing self-care, self-love journey, beautiful journey that I go on with myself. And then it can go from there to, I'm going to sleep through you today thoughts because I don't want to deal with your stuff today.
Right.
Or I'm going to go and just do everything in my physical body, which is working out, taking care of all of this, just doing things that's going to distract me from what my thoughts are going to be because I don't like you today. I don't like you today.
Yeah.
So that's what that is for me. My relationship with myself. It can be beautiful, and then some days it can be a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be both in the same day.
Girl, the same minute.
The same minute. Have me go without food for a little bit too long. I will literally contemplate the point of life.
Wow.
Literally. So that's what, when you see me with food, that's my self-care. Even if I'm not 100% hungry yet, It's just to keep that negativity from creeping in.
That's crazy,
yeah.
right?
I mean, just think about it. I mean, you like food is a source of energy, right?
Yeah.
And when it's like we have different ways of looking at energy, right? Our energy can be on a high and it can be on a low.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I talk about the true self versus, the ego self, the true self knows what you came here to do.
Yes.
It knows, and it is just as sure as we are sitting here right now, that we are in a park with grass and trees and all of this beautiful nature, right? And our soul believes in the greater vision, the bigger vision for our life.
Yeah.
And because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, we decided that there were going to be certain things that were here to teach us something that would distract us from the ultimate big goal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the true self doesn't always have to be this like deep, profound Dalai Lama-ish self, right? I mean, at its highest, it's so much more vast than we are.
Yes.
As a human being sitting here. But when we look at the human self, is the one that says, turn off the TV, get out of bed, stop scrolling, get in the shower.
Yeah.
Like that, the parent, right?
Of our being.
The parent of our being, right? Because there are so many different types of consciousness that exist within us, from 0 to 7 years old, which is our subconscious program, right? To, being, teens, 20s, 30s. There's different consciousness and they all live within us almost simultaneously. So when you see someone throwing a temper tantrum and they're a grown man, he's not a grown man in that moment.
Yeah. He's still his
he's acting out of this, the 4-year-old self, the 14-year-old self, the 12-year-old self. And so the true self is the one that's in charge of getting you back online. Please go eat something.
Yeah.
Don't eat that.
Yeah.
The ego self is, okay, well, but I want to do it anyway. Even though I know this isn't going to serve me. I know this is going to hold me back. This is going to come up at a really screwed up time that I really don't want it to. I'm going to have to go to the bathroom. Then I'm going to be late for my meeting. Like the ego self is the one that comes in and distracts you from the vision, right? Because of past hurts that have never been fully processed, that have never fully healed, that really start to take on a life of its own.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, for me, one of the things, I mean, an ego self can also look like it's your higher self too. And I'll share a little story of my life, right? So I had a mom that's very strict. She worked so hard. She worked 2 jobs for pretty much almost off and on throughout my childhood. And so when I started taking on projects as an adult, one of the things she would always come home, she would say, have you been productive today? What did you do today? Even if it was summer vacation. I remember one day I looked at her and she says, what did you do today? Like, you didn't do anything today. And I looked at her and I said, I'm 9. I'm 9. Leave me alone. It's summer vacation. And no, I didn't do anything today. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so sometimes I have to be careful, because even though I do choose to do, work and career path and profession that are in alignment with my highest, sometimes I would try and do too many things at the same time.
Me too.
And that was
your ego?
That was my child self going, okay, do you love me now? Am I good enough now? Am I doing enough? Am I productive enough now?
Is that what that is for me?
Yeah.
Girl, I gotta dig into that.
Yeah.
Because that is one of the hardest things for me to overcome, is that I am always doing something. I have to stay productive. And not even just that though. I'll take on so many things that nothing gets done.
Right. You've started all these amazing, beautiful things,
ideas and things, and then nothing gets done. And I'm really working on that right now. I'm reading this book called A 12-Week Year, I think it's.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
I think that's what it's called, 12-week year. But it's teaching me how to not set an annual goal for myself, not to set this thing up as an annual goal, but to break them down into 12 weeks, right?
Okay.
And to allow it to happen one thing at a time.
Yes.
Because I am telling you, over the last, I want to say 4 to 5 years now, I've had the same plans and same goals.
Right.
And some of them are finally come to fruition, right? But some of them have been lingering on for years, years and years and years. And it has everything to do with me trying to take on so many things at one time instead of like, and what is that? And I think it is ego.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with I need to be accomplished.
I need to be accomplished.
I need to look accomplished. I don't even want to look, and you know what? I don't even want to look accomplished. I want to be accomplished.
Right.
That's just what's real.
Right.
But then why?
Right, exactly. Because until we understand the why, nothing's going to get healed.
Exactly. Yeah. Why do I want to be accomplished so bad?
Yeah.
What does that equal up to? It has a lot to do with validation.
Worthiness.
And worthiness. It has a lot to do with, you know, my dad, girl. My dad used to tell me, I've been working since I was 12.
Oh, wow.
I've always even, I knew how to make money. I babysat, I did nails, I did everything whatever I could do to make money. I've always been an entrepreneur, so I've always had like all these ideas on how to make money, right? And my first job, outside of like having my own babysitting business, I worked at like a newspaper place where I rolled the newspapers. I've always worked, and my dad used to say, "Get a job." If I asked for something, he would say, "Get a job," or he would like stop buying me things or doing things for me. And I later found out, my mom told me that he did that because he didn't want me to rely on a man or somebody to do things for me. And I understand that in a way. I understand that in a way now. However, what it has done for me, it has made me way too independent.
Yep.
Let's start there. Yeah. It has made me way too independent. It has made me feel like I'm never enough.
Right.
It makes me feel like I always got to hustle, always got to move, always got to drive, always got to push, to the point where I am tired.
Yeah.
I am literally exhausted.
Yeah.
And it's like, because in the back of my mind, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep. Yeah. You gotta hustle. I grew up in a hustle mentality and a hustling family. I grew up in a hustling city. That's what we do.
Right.
Like, you can sit anybody from Baltimore City anywhere, and they're gonna figure out how to get it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, because I've been built to be like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to stop. Like, I literally want to stop. I'm exhausted, and I just want to handle things in a manner where I can see, and if I want the achievement, I can actually see the achievement, execute it, and catch it, and not feel like I'm just doing so much.
Yeah, and it's exhausting, and when it's exhausting, it's not sustainable. Yeah. Anything exhausting isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
And so that was something I really had to look at for myself, and it took me having like a spiritual journey to really see, because I know my calling. I know my calling is to communicate. My calling is to teach. My calling is to heal. It's all of these things. It's just not to do every single last one of them simultaneously.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to say, you know what, this week is the week where I queue up all of my content for social media. That's what I do that's what I do this week alone, and nothing else.
Oh my God. Can I be just like you when I grow up? Like, no. Right now.
Nothing else gets prioritized until this is done.
Yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
Week 1 of the month. But my thing is that because I saw my mom on this hamster wheel all the time.
Me too. My mother is like that.
And it really took this moment of me seeing myself, you know, do this one, you know, podcast that I had started, you know, during quarantine actually, and I had to stop and pull my energy back, because it was little Naz inside me, and we all have your little Chanel, or little,
for sure,
everything in there.
She's in there,
and it was literally, I was watching my video my video intro for my podcast, like in my head, I was seeing it play out. And I was so proud of it, and I was smiling. And in the background, it was my little voice at maybe, 5, 6 years old, going, "Mommy, do you love me now? Do you see me now? Am I doing good? Am I doing good enough? Am I doing enough?" And I realized that was not what I needed to do. So the true self and the ego self, they hear everything at the same exact time. They just hear it differently.
Wow. That is so interesting. That is so interesting. That is so interesting.
Yeah.
Because you don't even realize that these are two parts of you.
Yes.
And for me, I know when I am stepping into my true self.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I'm at my purest state.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I feel like I'm at my purest state. Mm-hmm. When I am hiking or when I am in nature, mm-hmm. I am at my purest state.
Yeah.
When I am having conversations with people about life and insecurities and being a light for somebody else, I literally am at my purest state.
Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like the business part of me, the go-get-it side of me, even sometimes the relationship side of me can be the ego.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can't even say the relationship side because honestly, my relationship that would be, I think, both sides, both parts. Mm-hmm. Because even in in relationships, I'm at my pure state. I'm very much like that's when you get the right type of relationship, the right type, and that's friendship, that's love, that's whatever. The right ones, they get the most purest side of me, and I'm open to that.
Yeah.
You know, but that ego part, little Chanel is there.
Yeah.
Little Chanel,
ever present.
She is there and she is bold because that is exactly what's going on. How am I doing? Mm-hmm. Even though my dad is not here, I still think about how am I doing? Do you see what I'm doing?
And we're doing it whether we're conscious of it or not.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the subconscious mind is.
Or the people that don't believe. Because I had people to tell me, you know, even when I was pregnant with my first daughter, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do all those things? Yeah. So I had so much, I felt like I had so much to prove. Yeah. I would get up moving across the country, moving from here, there, everywhere. I'm going to show you I can do what I want to do.
Right.
I mean, what you're not going to do is tell me I can't do.
Right.
And that was ego.
Yeah, yeah.
It was ego. It was my pure self wanting to be in that journey.
Yeah.
But my ego was definitely like, now look, because what are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
But you know what? I would even almost argue that was, it maybe showed up as ego, but it was the truest self in you that knew you could do what you came here to do.
Exactly.
It can come out as like an ego, is like, no, show you.
Yeah.
You know, like puff out the chest kind of thing. But you know what? That's not always a bad thing. It's not always something working against us.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes the appearance of it might look like ego, but I feel like at the end of the day, if it's in alignment with your highest, mm-hmm. and it's coming from a place of triumph, mm-hmm. the people that you think are against you are probably in awe of you.
Yeah. And I find that out too.
Yeah.
I find that out too, that a lot of people are just like, wow.
Yeah. How'd you do that?
How did you do that?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I just did it.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to go so, like, I can't wait to finish.
Oh, I know.
Gosh, this is amazing.
And we're just scratching the surface.
This is the surface.
Yes.
This is going to be so good.
But yeah.
So I want to say thank you to everybody who has tuned in. I need you to like, subscribe, and share this video. If you're tuning in online or on Apple or wherever you are, make sure that you go and check out. I want you to pin everything.
Absolutely. You can follow me at Heart Mind Fitness Training on Instagram, and also I am Nazra Marie.
And this is my girl, I call her Naz. This is Naz and Chanel Sara'Nita. Of course, you can find me at the Queen's Corner or at Chanel Sara'Nita on Instagram. The YouTube channel, the Queen's Corner. And we have a lot of little tidbits and videos there as well. But please make sure you come back for part 2, because there's going to be a part 2 and a 3 and some more stuff going on.
Oh,
so we're digging really deep into this because we want to help heal everybody around us as well as ourselves.
Absolutely.
So thank you, ladies, for tuning in. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another fire episode of the Queen's Corner. Please like, subscribe, and share with another queen.